All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I am super excited and pumped for my next guest. This is Elizabeth McKenzie, and she is, in my mind, she is the foremost expert on copywriting. She's also a screenwriter. So now every time I watch a movie on Netflix, I'm like, oh, did she do that? Did she write that? But I don't know how far she is in that journey, but I love her for copywriting. She's also the founder and CEO of The Copyword. So you can find her on thecopyword.com and Elizabeth McKenzie on Facebook. I love your bio somewhere. I saw it. It says that you're a boutique copywriting agency that crafts compelling copy that disrupts, delights, and delivers profit to your bottom line every time. And I totally agree with that. You did some work for me for one of my businesses, The Family Alchemist, and all of it was an absolute success, which is wonderful. We actually even picked our name. We did some branding work with you, and we love that. So thank you for that. And thank you for being
You're
here.
welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited. I am coming to you live from the future, and the future is awesome.
That's right. You're in Australia. I got her up early this morning to talk to me. I'm always confused about what day it is, but yeah. What is it? Friday?
Yeah.
Friday.
Friday. Yeah. The future.
Thursday. That's awesome. Okay. So I've got questions for you. I know a lot of my friends who are coaches. So to be honest, and I love them all dearly, and I'm mostly speaking about myself, we like really, really suck at copywriting and you're really, really good at it. So before we get into that though, why do you think you love it so much?
I think I love it for the same reason that I love screenwriting, and the same reason that I love just writing in general is that you get to take something, you get to pluck something out of your mind, seemingly out of thin air. You get to translate it onto the page, and you've created something, and it's real. And the kind of the next level of that in copywriting is you get to make money from making shit up and selling it, basically, which obviously with integrity and all of that stuff, but truly from you get to play God with your life when you are a creative, when you get to show up and take that idea, put it onto the page, make it mean something, whether it's to sell a product or whether it's to sell a story to a network that you want people to see. There is that you're the creator, like you get to make it up. It's there are no rules and there are no restrictions, and you have that ultimate freedom, I think. And that's kind of where I kind of went down that path of copywriting, is being creative is having freedom.
Oh, yeah. I love that. I love that you're like making stuff up, but you really do, because you're writing the story and you're crafting this message for people to experience.
But you also get to do that as a business owner. So you and everyone who's listening, while it's not through the copywriting itself, but through being your own business owner, you're playing God with your life. You get to make the decisions. You're your own boss. And so, I mean, that is equally thrilling. So for me, combining writing with my own business and I love it. Like, it's the perfect combination of, like I said, having that freedom, that we all kind of crave, and we see it in copy. You want freedom. Everyone wants a freedom lifestyle. Everyone wants to be free. Like, that's what that is for me, is having that freedom to write something, sell something, create something, sell something. And that's the same with any business owner.
Yeah. Already I'm like, I need to hire you again. It's so true, because what I've learned is we can't sell anything unless we nail copy. That's like the whole key of everything.
It's like the carrier pigeon for your services. That's kind of like, you create the service and it's great, or the product, the offer, whatever it is, you can create it. The language and the copy is the thing that's going to carry it out into the world for people to pay attention to, hear it, see it, and buy it.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. So for you, I know it's so easy. I've taken your classes and stuff, and you talk about writing a story, because I know like we really want people make a buying decision from their emotions first, right? So why is it so hard for me to write a story, and it's so easy for you to drop right into that? And
well, firstly, practice. I remember 5 years ago, I went to a writing masterclass. I was like, right, now I'm a copywriter and I want to like develop. I want to be better. Like, we all want to do that. I want to be a better copywriter. So I saw a copywriting masterclass in Melbourne and I was like, all right, I'm going to take it. I'm going to be a master writer. And I went there, and like the biggest lesson I took away from that was, you're a writer, so you write, and when you write, you become better. And that's the equation. It's practice. You write, then you can call yourself a writer. And so, because there's this whole thing about can I call myself a writer? Like where's the title? Where's the qualification? I'm so used to that, coming from a high school, university, follow the standard path, get your like qualifications and degrees, and then your job title. And it was like, oh, I can be a writer, like, because I just write, so therefore I'm a writer. It was like such a mind-blowing moment. And yeah, I paid a couple $100 thinking I was going to walk away with like this new technique, but really it was the only way to be a better writer is to write more. And so that's truly one of the biggest differences between like me and you, for example, is I treat it like my job is to do writing drills and to write and to write and to write. And basically I sit at my laptop and write constantly. And that, and I definitely look back to the copy I had in the beginning, like 5 years ago, and the growth of it as well. It's like completely true. My trajectory, and even like clients I worked with at the time, as I became more of a, I guess, master writer, better writer, my skills developed as well from where I was to where I am. So yeah, I would say like, don't compare us, because like, and also your job is not to be a professional writer, right? So for you, your job is like to be the coach and to do those kind of things. And that's where you spend your time and energy and effort, is to really do those kind of things to make you the best in that ability. So I guess like, a lot of the time I always want to encourage people who, if writing is not your profession, or it doesn't have to be, there are other ways around it. Like, yes, you can outsource. Yes, you can kind of learn formulas and things like that. But to compare is crazy. What are you doing?
I know. One of the things that I see, and I love that you say it's just practice. Isn't that like so true?
Right. So
everything in life, just practice, practice, practice. I just lost my train of thought. But so one of the things I was thinking is like, so I see other people get so focused on thinking about what we do and like how it works and the process of it. And copy isn't that. What would you say that copy really is?
I would say, well, copy is basically, the definition is the art and science of writing something that inspires action. So it's a very proactive thing. It's about inspiring action, no matter what the action is. Is it to hit reply to an email? Is it to buy a service? Is it to change the trajectory of their life? Whatever it is very active. Like there is a end goal to it. There's an objective to it, to inspire action, to inspire change. So what was your question?
Gosh, I forgot too. All right, we're doing good here.
It's like,
what is copy? Yeah, really.
Right. And how you kind of get so caught up in your head about what you do. If you kind of think about the fact that copy is there to inspire action of the reader, I think the biggest thing that I can give to you and to anyone listening, the takeaway is that your reader, like the conversation, the copy, the content should always be centered around your reader, right? Because the point of copy is to get them to take inspired action. Then it has to be about them. And what we do is we get so caught up about it being about us. Now, of course you can, it's not about you're a blank face and you're not a personality in any of this. And because you are, right? Like, there is a layer, you're people by people. And so you need to put your personality into it. But where I see a lot of people go wrong is that they really focus on centering around themselves or their process or what they're doing, versus if you can flip the lens and center it around the reader, you can insert yourself into that, and you can be part of that conversation, and your personality can be infused in all of that. But the centering of the messages around them and the inspired action that you want them to take, which means really understanding like where they're at, where they want to go, and the language that they use, and the perception of how they see the world. So I guess, there's that adage, sell people what they want, then give them what they need. And I feel like we hear it, but we get so caught up that we don't really hear it. So many people, when they center it around themselves, what they're doing is putting the copy through their own personal experience filter. So what people need, and it's very rarely what they want in the end, right? Like it's always like a growth, especially in coaching. For example, someone wants to fall in love. If you're a love coach, someone wants, I just want a boyfriend. I just want to like husband. I just want to like fall in love and be married. So as a love coach though, say I've gone through all the training, I've got all the experience, I've hooked people up, I'm like really good at what I do, but I know that you need to love yourself first before you can love someone else. So I see a lot of people end up talking from that angle. It's like, you're saying, hey, it's not about the guy. It's not about the girl. It's not about those guys. It's all about you. You need to fall in love with yourself. So the copy comes around, is centered around what they need. So it's like very you focused, but they're not going to hear you, and they're not going to see you, and they're not going to hire you, because they're like, that's not what I want. She's not talking to me. She's talking to someone else. What I want is a man or a woman. Right. So you have to look at flipping it around to being like, okay, where are they at in their life? What are the conversations that they have, and what do they want? Because they don't have that experience. They don't have that education. They don't have that knowledge that you have. So the whole concept of sell them what they want, then give them what they need is about like meeting them where they're at, taking their hand and like guiding them to get them to where they need. But you can't be like waving over here going like, hey, like come and meet me, because this is where we're at. We're at the self-love part here. And they're like, what the hell? I'm not into stuff. That's not what I want. You're like, this is a totally different program to what I'm looking for. I'm going to go with the person who tells me I'm going to get a husband. And you can, right? And you can totally say the program can be like, fall in love, find a man, like live your dream, like whatever, like very bad cliche copy. But within that whole course or program that you have is the falling in love with yourself part. But that can't be the front and center. That's when you're centering it around you and your experiences. But when you flip it around and really look at like, what is your ideal client's experience right now? You have to honor where they're at in their journey. Right. And the beauty is, I know it can feel like awkward and it can feel hard, but you're an expert. Like you are the expert. You are 2 steps ahead or 20 steps ahead. So you almost need to like walk all the way back to the beginning before you learn all of this stuff and be like, oh yeah, I remember what it felt like. I remember the conversations that I had in my head. I remember what I wanted. And it wasn't the 20 steps ahead. That's the education. That's knowledge. That's all the steps you took to become more aware and live your best life. But you need to honor where your clients are at. And that is selling them what they want. And then, like I said, take the hand and get them to where they need to go, which is like the self-love element of it. But if you try to sell that, then they're going to believe that that's not for them. You haven't created something for them. They're going to go look somewhere else. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense. And that is exactly where, I'll just speak for myself, where I struggle. Yeah. It's hard to get out of that. And then, okay, so this was really good. So you said that copy inspires action, which I think it reminded me of a class I took the other day where they talked about how the great speechwriters for presidents, their whole goal is to change public sentiment and get public to be ready to do something else. And you're like doing that at the smaller scale and getting right into people's heads. So I want to ask you about that in a minute. But then would you say, so based on that, you're selling people what they want. So I've read like Building a Story Brand. I don't know if you've read that book. And he talks about you're inviting people, you're basically like telling people where they're going to go. So would you say that you are telling them where they're going to go based on like my opinion, or like where they want to go? It sounds like you're saying you tell them where they want
to go.
Okay.
Yeah. So what is their end goal? What do they want? And you're taking them through that journey to where they want to go. Absolutely.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so then my next question is, I don't know how a presidential speechwriter gets into the heads of everybody, but so if you're dealing with, like me, for example, how do you get into the head of my client, or even, gosh, in your own emails? I feel like you've been spying on me. I'm like, Elizabeth's been watching my Facebook. She knows everything about me. Her email speaks directly to me. She's calling me out on stuff I'm doing wrong. Like, how do you, when you get a brand new client, how do you get into the head of the people they're trying to sell to?
So basically I guess it's twofold. It's kind of what I was just talking about, which is every email I write, I start with like, what does my reader need to hear? Like, it's always very reader focused first. I always center the conversation around their experience, and then I insert myself in and build like this team rapport around it. But I don't start with like, what do I want to talk about? I'm like, okay, I center it around my reader. So that was the first bit. And the second bit is, it just dropped out of my head. Hang on. The second bit is listening. Like, I listen to what my clients are saying, what my private clients are saying, what my one-on-one clients are saying, what I see people reply to me in my inbox, what I see on social media. The exact words, the exact language, that's what I pay attention to. And basically using the exact language that my clients are saying. So when I work with clients one-on-one, I get on a deep dive call with them, and really I'm asking questions. They'll, again, coming back to the spiritual, sorry, we were talking about love coach, but say you're a spiritual coach. And so I'll get on a call and they'll say, hey, my people want to be more spiritual. And I will ask them, so do your clients walk around and like they're talking to their husbands going, oh my God, husband, I just want to be more spiritual. Like, if only I was just more spiritual in my life, then everything would be amazing. And then they kind of go, no, they never say that. They say, I just want to be more happy. So then I'm like, oh, okay. So they walk around and go, oh my God, like, why am I so flat all the time? Why do I feel like really like bummed out? Like, I just don't understand. Like, life is kind of okay, but I'm so like bummed. I just wish I was happy. I just wish I was content. And they're like, yes, that's what they say. So I guess my kind of, and then we know, okay, no one gives a shit about being spiritual for spiritual sake. They only care about how that translates into their everyday life. So the copy isn't going to be centered around spirituality. It's going to be centered around their language that they actually use, which is, I feel flat for no reason. I feel like I'm not content. I'm not happy. Like, that's the kind of language to use that people are going to be like, oh, you're in my head. So for example, I had a client who was inquiring about one of my services, and she's like, oh my God, I'm like about to launch and I hate it. And da, da, da. And then basically the next email I sent out the next day was like, so I hear you're launching and I hear you hate it. And then all of a sudden everyone was like, oh my God, you're in my head. And so it really is paying attention and listening to those conversations and not manipulating it. Like, not saying, oh, so she wants to be happy, which means she wants to be more spiritually connected. Like, we can easily make that jump to selling them what they need to get what they want, but we need to always stay in the language that your clients are actually saying. That's how you get into their heads, by not manipulating it into what you think that they need to hear, and really talking from the language that they actually use.
Wow. So it's that easy. Just listen, write it down, and use it.
And get like a file going on your laptop, language, anytime you get a reply from someone and they say something, take a snap of that down, survey your list and say, hey, what's your biggest struggle when it comes to relationships? And see what language they say, and actually snap all of that language down and start infusing it in all of your writing. You will get emails back going, oh my God, you're inside my head.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. So good.
You're welcome.
So that kind of plays into my next question, because I'm thinking, so I know that one of the things we want to do is create emotion,
Right.
involve the reader, tell a story, use what they've just said. How do you translate that to a really short, like, social media post or something? How can you do all that in just short copy?
Yes. So everyone gets so caught up in like story. You have to tell a whole entire story, beginning, middle, end, conflict resolution. Like, you know, like, and definitely if you follow other, you know, people who talk about storytelling, they basically give you a whole entire story structure that is based on Hollywood anyway. Main character wants something in the problem and the despair and the hero and the solution, calling them to act, failures, like there's a whole kind of setup.
Right.
But obviously, you know, that if you're going to write a full feature length film, that's like 90 pages. It's not really going to work in a business setting. So what I like to do is I call it the story scene. And basically you're taking one tiny little snippet of your entire story and you're just talking about that one tiny scene. So here's what I prepared earlier. But basically, imagine if you're a nutritionist or you're a coach around health and well-being. You know, your client's journey is one of getting healthy and, you know, not counting calories or deprivation. It's about balance. It's about, you know, loving yourself. So, you know, you could tell the whole entire story in 90 pages, feature length film. Maybe Netflix will pick it up. Maybe it's that dramatic. But, you know, for a caption, it's picking one scene in that entire story. So one scene that comes to mind is like the bread basket at the restaurant. So, you know, at any health wellness journey that someone goes on, they're going to have to go and eat out at some point. They're going to eat in a restaurant and they're going to freak out about like, what am I going to do? How do I order? What do I do? And then more than that, they're going to freak out about the bread basket because the bread basket is going to come out and like they're so trained to be like, that is bad for you and you shouldn't have it, and resist and resist and resist, but they want it so much. So you can just basically pick out that tiny little moment and tell a story in like 3 sentences. So the story that I would tell is, you know, you're sitting in the restaurant, the waiter returns with the devil himself, I mean the bread basket. Instead of being seduced by the dark side and become a glutton for punishment, you take one piece and you savor it and you enjoy it. And that's all you need to say as a little tiny story scene to bring someone in to your message and get them to kind of feel. You don't have to over explain. It's really about getting people to be in that scene with them. So that's it. You know, the waiter returns with the devil himself, I mean the bread basket. Instead of being seduced by the dark side and become a glutton for punishment, you take one piece, you savor it, you enjoy it.
Wow.
So I call them story scenes. And so, I mean, along the journey for a nutritional health and well-being client, there's going to be an exercise story scene. There's going to be like throwing out your scales or weighing in or something along the lines of, like, there are so many different story scenes along the entire client journey to getting healthy. So I would look at the whole concept of telling like a story with a beginning, middle, and end. I like to look at it as your overarching client journey to getting what they want. Like, it is a whole massive full-length feature film. So all you need to do in your like emails, in your social media captions, is pick out tiny little story scenes along the way and just writing those story scenes.
Oh, wow. That's so helpful. Thank you so much for that. This is why you're the expert.
You're
I love
welcome.
that idea. And I'm already thinking of different scenes that I could pull out to use in my copy. That's perfect. Elizabeth McKenzie, thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom. You can find her on thecopyword.com, Elizabeth McKenzie on Facebook. Go sign up for her website, Written in a Day offering.
Yeah.
She will make it perfect and you'll be like, yes, thank you for taking this off my plate. Okay, I have one last question for you.
Yes.
And you don't have to answer it. So I know that you are a newlywed. Ish.
Ish. I know.
Has it been a year?
Yeah, it's like 18 months now.
Oh,
a year and a half. I know. Well, maybe it was March last year. So I don't know. Time and space have warped these days.
Right. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I'm curious, because you know so well how to get into people's heads and persuade them, basically, motivate them to take action. Have you found that those skills have helped you when you talk to your husband?
If I take the time to slow down and be like, okay, then yeah, generally I'm just like, here I am, like, but I know that the biggest way is to try to get him to sell himself on the idea So it's like planning, and like also like this is my best friend was like, hey, it's about planting seeds, Liz. And I'm like, yeah, it really is, isn't it? So like yeah, and I think it's kind of like the idea with like if you bring it back to business, it's this kind of warming up to the sell. So like planting the seed, like, and getting them like to sell themselves onto the idea. So you know, if I'm I mean, sometimes I use it, and then sometimes I'm like, we're moving to LA. And then it's like, okay, now we need to deal with it. But I mean, yeah, I think my biggest takeaway would be like that idea of really warming them up to the sell by planting the seeds. And then the natural evolution from these like little seeds is for him to like get on board and agree with it. So
Oh yeah, that's perfect. I've heard that too, that you just
seeds.
kind of keep mentioning it, and then it seems like their idea. See, you're so smart. You're gonna be married forever and ever and ever.
The other day, it was like, oh, what about this? I'm like, oh my God, I've been on sign this for ages. But it's like, it's cool. It's cool. Cause like, you're on board. No worries. We're good.
Right. You're brilliant, honey.
So then another thing we can take from this is repetition is key.
That's good
if
to
you
know
want to
too.
translate that back into your business, you got to
Yeah.
repeat and repeat and repeat. And there is that saying that people need to be exposed to a message 7 times before they even say yes. Whether you believe that number 7 or not, I mean, I think it's safe to say that repetition is key as well. So just because you're sick of hearing yourself say the same thing over and over again doesn't mean that your readers and your clients and your community are.
That's
So
such a
feel
good
free
point
to
too.
repeat. Yeah. You don't have to come up with new stuff every single time. You know, keep that same message consistent, slightly tweak it. And yeah, you're bored of it, but your people aren't. And they're starting to build this connection between you and your message, and then you as the expert for that particular message.
Oh, I know. That's such a good point. Because I know, like, for myself, it's so hard to, like, you feel like you're taking up space or annoying people, but you really, that's part of the process.
Yeah, and mostly they don't even think about you. Like, we really think people think about us a lot. They don't. They really are so busy with their lives that,
right.
Yeah, they're not sitting there going, Beth, what is going on with her? All of these emails, or there are no emails. What's up? Why is she so inconsistent? What's going on? Like, no, people are not even concerned about you and your business. So please take up space.
Okay. Perfect. Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining us from the future.
Yeah.
And we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.